Good morning, everyone. My name is Julie. I am the owner and founder of Lady Faltey's Apothecary. We are here today to talk about the full moon. We have a lot, or I have a lot that I want to go over today. So I'm going to try not to get too sidetracked, but I don't make any promises, okay? Before we get started, I'm going to just see if I got a little leaf here that we can burn a little bit of sage without hopefully burning my fingers. All right, so some for you guys out there and some for me. All right, so lots to cover today. I'll try not to be too scattered or jump around too much, but yeah, a lot to cover today. So the first thing is you probably have noticed that the title of this video is Full Moon in Pisces, where that is probably not what you're going to see on any of the other videos. And the reason for that is because over the last 2,000 years or so, the planets have shifted slightly. And so when the astrological chart was made thousands of years ago, and where they projected everything to be is not exactly where everything is at the moment. So if you actually take a picture of where the planets are and the stars are in the sky, you would see that we're actually still in Pisces. So I'm going to do my full moon video on Pisces and the energy around Pisces. So, and if that doesn't resonate with you, that's perfectly fine. But that's the video I'm going to do. Okay. So, first off, it's also known as the harvest moon. And one of the reasons it's known as the harvest moon is because that sage is really burning, isn't it? Is because it is the closest full moon to, my heavens, it is the closest full moon to the autumn equinox, which is when most people would be doing their harvesting out of their garden. We just had a frost warning here, so I had to run out a couple of days ago and grab the last little bit of my stuff that I hadn't got yet to make sure that the frost didn't kill it off. So that's kind of where that name, the harvest moon, comes from. All right. So the next thing is normally I would talk about any planets that would be aligned with this full moon. And there really isn't any this particular full moon. So what we do is we go to, my heavens, burning the place down, I guess. So what we do is we go to the next influence, I guess is the word I would use. So there's not any, there's not any planets that are squared or in tension or anything like that that you would normally hear me talk about during my weekly videos. So the next thing over is Venus is squared with Uranus. The big influence here is going to be that. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit more in a little bit, but I want to talk just about Pisces for a few seconds. So Pisces are a water sign. They are people who have very heightened emotions, and a lot of times they get, kind of labeled as emotional. And I just want to say emotions are not bad. We are meant to have emotions. They were given to us for a reason. They keep us safe. They keep us out of trouble. They protect our physical body. We have emotions for a whole number of reasons. So being in touch with your emotions is not a bad thing. We should all be a little bit more in touch with our emotions. So Pisces are also known to be very intuitive people. So those are two things that you're probably going to be feeling over, I'll say 3 days, but it was probably yesterday. the full moon is tonight. And so usually the energy of the full moon is about 3 days, give or take. It's not an exact science. It's not the same every time. It doesn't start at midnight exactly. So, but the energy will be coming in and you'll be feeling it, and then the energy will be going out. So hopefully that makes sense. So, um, yeah, so some other things about Pisces. My notes are all over the place and I apologize. But like I said, so it's going to be some heightened emotions and really some heightened intuition, which we're going to really tap into that when we start talking about Venus here in a second. So um, remember, your Pisces energy is going to be important for this full moon. And I really don't think it's ever a coincidence that the planets line up the way they do. Um, so I think it's a master plan that was created somewhere by someone. Whoever you want to give that label to is up to you. But um, I don't think all of this stuff was just kind of like, let's throw this shit out there and see what happens. I think there's more to it than that, because the way the planets line up, it seems like it's always like it's meant to be that way, in my opinion. So, Pisces, heightened emotions, heightened intuition. They're very aware. They're very honest. They're very balanced people. Um, Usually. And if you're going to say I'm Pisces and I'm definitely not balanced, um, there depends on what's going on in your life. There's always things that are going on. It depends on where your placements are, your other placements are, and things like that. So when I talk about a specific sign, I'm talking about the general overall description of that sign. So um, if you're like, I'm a Pisces and I'm definitely not balanced, it could be some life issues going on. It could be where your other placements are. It could be a number of different things that, maybe are why you don't fit perfectly into that category. So we're all different. We all have different charts and we all have different aspects to ourselves. Um, so yeah, so that's Pisces really in a nutshell. Um, I have videos on all of the signs if you want to ever go back and watch those. They're a couple years old, but I mean, Pisces information isn't going to change. So just if I'm talking about, something that's going on or whatever, that's not going to be relevant. But the information about whatever the sign is still good information. So you could go back and watch those if you want. Um, so yeah, so Pisces in a nutshell. So then we're going to go over and we're going to talk about Venus for a little bit. And so Venus is all about love, but it's also about money and peace, creativity, self-image, and values. So we typically know what is love. That's kind of like the big thing, right? But it does kind of oversee all of those other things. So keep in mind that any of those things could be affected by this full moon. Okay. Where am I going from there? All right. So I'm going to just kind of check off here that I've said that. I've said that. I've said that. I've said that. So next, this full moon is going to be challenging for us. Okay. So I'm not gonna like tell you it's doom and gloom and things like that. But I'm not gonna lie either and say it's gonna be a fun sail through kind of full moon. It's gonna be challenging. Okay. So that challenge is probably gonna last us a couple of weeks. So and the reason behind that is, and again, I'm trying to keep this in a small video here, um, is that this is the last full moon before we have a solar eclipse. So The solar eclipse is on October 14th. And what happens is those energies we had one, let me see, I wrote it down here. So we had a solar eclipse back in April, and that was bringing about power struggles and some crisis. But there's always the balance side of it, right? So that power struggle and that crisis was to bring forth inspiration and spiritual awakening. So we also had a lunar eclipse back in May, and that highlighted problems in our relationships. And again, so whenever the planets kind of give us these challenges, it is for a reason. So we have a conflict, and then we have a solution, and then we have balance again, right? So that's kind of the whole plan. So, trying not to get off topic here, but I read an article the other day, that last night actually, that said if we say everything happens for a reason, that we don't know what the hell we're talking about, in a nutshell. So take that as you will. I don't believe that. I do believe things happen for a reason. I do believe things are lessons. I do believe things are meant to be to some degree. We do have free will. We do have decisions that we can make, and we can either go along our path or avoid it and go somewhere else. Um, anyway, but I do believe things do happen for a reason, and so there is conflict that gives us an opportunity for a solution, that gives us opportunity for balance. So, okay. All right. So, this whole full moon is going to start the conflict. But again, it's going to provide us with the inspiration. I'm just reading my notes here because I have a lot I wanted to cover. It provides inspiration to make critical decisions to solve problems. So, again, conflict, solution, balance. Morning, Kimberly. So, like I said, it's going to be challenging, but it's challenging for a reason, and it's going to be okay. Um, you know, um, I don't want to be one of those people that just tells you everything's going to be okay, um, because that's not necessarily true, that everything may not be okay. Shit's going to happen. Shit that we don't want to happen. But I find 9 out of 10 times when that happens to us, I mean, there's obviously things that are traumatic. We suffer losses, and things that just our hearts sometimes don't heal from fully. But a lot of the times, things that happen to us um, are usually for the better. How many of us have had, I'll just use relationship because we're talking about Venus, a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and they broke up with us, and we thought that was the complete end of the world. We had nothing to live for. Our lives were ruined, right? And then we met someone else and realized that this person was who we were meant to be with and not the other person. At that time, it was hard for us. And oh, sorry, my speaker's on here. Let me turn that off. At the time, it was very hard for us. It was very traumatic for us. And, it was painful. And we went through a lot of emotions, and, we felt all the feelings. But in the end, it turned out being better for us. So, again, take that as you will and do what you want with that. So, anyhow, back to Venus. So, Venus is squared Uranus. And again, trying not to get too sciencey here or too in depth with some of this stuff. But basically, what's happening is, like I said, there's the conflict, there's the solution, and there's the balance, right? So this is what we call, and I've talked about it a while back, about the learning triangle. So this is a learning triangle for us. That's what they call it. I don't know why they call it that, besides the fact that it involves 3 planets. So triangle makes sense, right? And it's to learn something. So we're going to start off with the conflict part, which is the full moon, right? We're going to start off with, not the full moon, sorry. During this full moon, we're going to start off with Venus squared Uranus, right? So that's going to start the process. So there's going to be some conflict around what Venus rules. So again, that was love, money, peace, creativity, self-image, and values. So it could involve any one of those things, or it could involve more than one of those things. Everybody's going to feel the energy a little bit different for you. So there's going to possibly be, most likely, going to be some conflict around that somewhere for you. Okay. So again, could be some feelings of just, inadequacy. So maybe your self-image, you're just feeling a little inadequate. Maybe you're not feeling very creative if you're a person that's very in touch with their artistic side. Maybe you're just not feeling at peace, whatever that might, again, look like. So it doesn't necessarily have to involve your love life, your relationship, but it may. It may also be family members or children or even coworkers. So, depending on your relationship with the people that are around you, it doesn't necessarily have to mean your partner. So with that being said, so that's going to start us off, the Venus squared Uranus. So next, Venus is going to be sextile to Mars. And so Mars is actually going to bring in some calm and some balance, some pleasure seeking. Sorry, I said that wrong. Venus sextile Mars, let me correct that because I said that completely backwards, is going to bring disturbance to calm, balance, and pleasure seeking. So again, that's just kind of the way it's going to go. And all of this is going to bring things to light for you that maybe you thought were resolved, or maybe you thought weren't a problem to begin with, or maybe wasn't even on your radar at all. And so, it's kind of like shining the light bulb on it so that you can see it, and then you can fix it, and then you can move on. So Venus sextile Mars is also going to kind of kick off the problem solving part of it. So the solution part of it. So be creative, be outside of the box. And that's where we're going to go back to the Pisces energy of having our heightened emotions. So again, we're not talking about being emotionally all over the place. We're talking about our emotions themselves are heightened. And so we can really tap into those and really feel what we're actually feeling. And then you can use that intuition to guide you and push you through to that problem solving part that we want to get to, so we can get to the harmony, the balance part of it, right? So that's really going to promote that problem solving aspect of it, is really going to promote to the end, which we're going to talk about here in just 2 seconds. But it's really going to promote true love or true connection, or if it's peace or creativity or whatever it is that is being affected for you, it's going to promote a true connection there, based on that we've gone through this, we've seen the problem, we have fixed the problem, and now we're back in harmony or balance, right? So it's kind of like the testing your relationship, right? People who go through hard things together end up closer together. So kind of, I know I use a lot of like these little cliche sayings that, like, are parents and grandparents and stuff always told us. But honestly, they're been around forever because I think they're true, and I think there's actual meaning behind them. So you know, it's kind of silly, but it's not. So, but getting through the conflict and problem solving, and problem solving, that part of it doesn't have to be just you. Like whoever is involved or whatever is involved around it, like you can ask for help. You can say, or we need to come up with a solution together for this, right? And that's again going to just make your relationship even stronger than you just trying to figure it out on your own and your partner having no clue what the hell's going on. um, and remember that they're feeling that energy too. So, whatever we're feeling, the people around us are feeling that energy too. It might be affecting them slightly different, but it is going to be affecting them too. It's not just affecting just us. So, um, you can certainly be proactive and involve your partner, or if it's something around money, again, who's going to be most invested if you're having a financial problem is probably your partner, right? So you could talk to your partner, or maybe it's involves your grown children, or who knows. It could look like a million different things for you. So, but don't be afraid to ask for help is where I'm basically going with that. So blah blah blah. All right, so finishing off the end of it, Mars, and I'm not sure I'm going to say this word correctly. Don't get offended if I don't, because it does. It's concux. I'm pretty sure that's how it's pronounced. So Mars is concux to Uranus. Um, and that's where the solution is going to come. That's where, again, we're going to be proactive. And I even had to write my notes going up the side. We're going to be searching for the solution. We're going to have the solution. We're going to be proactive. We're going to search, and we're going to strive, right? So, and not to be the Debbie Downer of it, but if your relationship isn't worth your time to put in some work, then maybe it's not the right relationship for you. I'm not an advocate for telling people to ever leave somebody. That's not something I would ever recommend to people. That is going to be a decision that you come up with on your own, for your own reasons, and not because I told you to. But sometimes it is for the best. All right, where are we? I've had to write check marks here because there's a lot here I want to go over. So we went over Venus squares Uranus, Venus sextile Mars, Mars concux Uranus. We've gone over problem solving and solutions, and we've gone over that. And so basically, this full moon is all going to be about love, right? And it's going to be about letting go. Full moons are always about letting go. That being said, again, doesn't necessarily mean I'm telling you to let go of your partner, whatever the problem is. So I'm going to put the money and relationship together. So if your relationship is struggling because of financial issues, I'll use my own issue, right? I'm a shopaholic. I like to buy things. My husband doesn't always like the fact that I like to buy things. And sometimes we don't agree on how I spend my money. um, right? That's just the way it is. But with that being said, um, you know, if it was the other way around, so if it was, say, it was my husband that was spending money and I wasn't agreeing with how he was spending his money, is that his issue or is that my issue? It's my issue, right? It's his money. He can do what he wants with it. It's my money. I can do what I want with it. with that being said, yes, we have to be adults. We have to pay bills. We have to buy groceries. We have to do, the adult things. But after that, you know, so basically it would be my issue to let it go, right? It's not for me to step in and say, you need to change what you do. You need to stop spending money that way. My husband doesn't do that, by the way, but I'm using this as an example. Um, it's not to go in and say, you need to stop spending money. You need to do this, or you need to do this, or you need to do this with your money. That's not the problem. The problem is my wanting control over that, right? My need to feel like I'm either fixing it or helping or making it better or um, whatever. It's my issue, not theirs. So just an example that would be mine to let go of, right? So during the full moon, I might have to tap into that and really find out, what is that issue? Is that control? Is that fear, that someday we might be financially broke and that we have to save every penny? Is it lack of trust? Like, you have to tap into that and figure out what that is and then release it. So again, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but so you're going to have to do a little digging. You're going to have to really get in there. And that's, again, where that Pisces heightened emotions are there and our intuition is there, that's heightened. It should hopefully be a little bit easier for you to do that kind of work. So, but anyway, all on the end of that, what's going to happen is, again, your relationship or your financial situation or your creativity or whatever it is should come out better at the end. So, go ahead and chase your desires and promote yourself and be in a good mood and have confidence, and all of those things are gonna work out in the end. So, all right. So let's move over to tools. I'm like dying of heat all of a sudden, like 500 degrees. All right. So this is where the second half of the video, I move over into the tools aspect of it. So the first thing that we're going to work on is affirmation. And I type it in the comments. And again, it's not because I don't think you can't write it down or you can't understand English or anything like that. It's so if you don't have something to write it down or whatever, you're listening in the car or who knows where, and you want to go back later and get the affirmation, you don't have to sort through the whole video to find it. You can just go to the comments, okay? And hopefully I spell things right. It's a super easy one. My emotions empower me. So your emotions are not a weakness. Feeling your emotions, being attuned to your emotions does not make you an emotional wreck. It makes you in touch with your feelings. So again, quick on affirmations. They're great to say while you're washing your hair in the shower, while you are driving your car, while you are stirring your sugar into your coffee, while you're cooking supper, standing there stirring whatever you're stirring, right? I really am a big advocate for doing your affirmations in times of the day that you have to be doing things, but you don't really have to be super mindful, right? I mean, driving a car, you have to be somewhat aware, right? You're driving a car. If you're cooking on the stove, you have to be somewhat aware. But most of us, we don't have to be like super hyper focused on it. So you can say those affirmations while you're doing those things, brushing your teeth. You can't say it out loud, but you can say it in your head. Brushing your hair, washing your hair, all those things that you do, throughout the day that you don't really need a whole lot of brain power to do. Is a good time to say those affirmations. And, I made this one really short. There was a second part to it, but I kind of cut it off because I just felt like my emotions empower me. It's just a good thing to just repeat over and over again until you believe it. Keep saying it. So, all right. The next thing is tarot card. And I do not have the traditional tarot deck. I have one that I really like the pretty pictures on, but the moon, right? So the moon card is perfect for this full moon. So Pisces is a water sign, and we know that the moon has a huge influence over water, the ocean, the waves, all of that. So our beings being mostly made up of water, the moon has a big effect on us, right? And a lot of people, I don't think, really put that connection together, that the moon really does have a huge effect over us because our body is water. So, anywho, there's a glare on the card. Sorry. Um, so the moon card is really good. Again, intuition, emotions, but we're also going to bring in patience, compassion, being gentle with ourselves, and being social. And social doesn't, I don't necessarily mean like we have to go out and have a huge party. Like social to me in this whole tie-in together is again that working together with people to solve whatever the problem is, right? I mean, if it's really an internal thing, then again, like we need to do that work. We need to do that work. Nobody else is responsible to do that work for us, but it's okay to ask for help if you need help to do that, right? We're not going to put it on somebody else to fix it, but we can ask somebody else to help us fix it. So, all right. Archetypes. I picked the Mystic. Usually, what I do is just go on my phone here and go in the search and put in the Mystic and click, and then click images, and then just scroll down through until I find something that, oh, that's kind of a neat picture. Where'd it go? All right. So it's on Pinterest. I don't know, but it won't let me look at the whole picture. Damn it. Anyway, so I just scroll through until I find something that resonates with me, and I will work with that. I'll put it on my phone as a screensaver or whatever, until I feel like I'm done working with it. And maybe it's 3 or 4 days, maybe it's 3 or 4 weeks, who knows. But the Mystic, again, ties in perfectly to, for me anyway, to the whole Pisces energy, right? The Mystics are like our gypsy people, our hippie people. And I'm not trying to stereotype or label, I'm just using those as examples of that kind of energy, that kind of vibe that we're going to really like kind of tap into our intuitiveness. We're going to be very spiritual people, you know uh, wandering without being lost. That whole saying, not all those wandering are lost. That's not exactly how it goes, but you get the gist of it. Wandering, but also being a little lost, being kind of like, I don't know what's over there, but I'm gonna go check it out. Hopefully I come back. um, but just that whole really tapping into that intuition, that spirituality, kind of more of the free spirit, and just kind of I don't want to say not take yourself so seriously, because it can be important work to do, but to maybe not let it bog you down, I guess. Not to let it be like consume you. Okay. All right. So let's move over to stones. I picked some different ones for this time, and ones that I don't really, I have them inside. I should have grabbed them inside, but I don't have them out here in the shop. But I do have quartz. I always have quartz. There's a piece of quartz. The camera's not picking it up good. There's some quartz points in there. My husband dug that up and gave it to me. So quartz. And the reason I pick quartz is because it is, number one, it's an amplifier. So it's really going to boost up the other three stones that we're going to work with. And if you don't have them, again, I've used this analogy a bazillion times, and I'll probably use it a bazillion more times, is tools are just that. They're tools. Excuse me. If you told me to go outside and dig a hole and I have nothing to take with me, I can go out and do it, right? I can use my hands, my arms, my forearms, my elbows, like my feet, like I could do it, but it's going to be hard. And there's probably going to be crying and swearing, right? But I could do it. It's going to be hard work, but I could do it. Now you tell me to go outside and you give me one of those little garden shovels. Now it's a little bit easier. It's still going to take a long time and it's still going to be hard, but I can get it done, and I can get it done a little bit easier, right? Now you tell me to go outside and dig a hole and you give me a regular full-size shovel, and it's going to seem like it went pretty quick and pretty easy, right? So tools are tools. You don't need them, but they do help. So I'm not going to be one of those people that are going to tell you, you have to buy this stone to heal, because if you don't have this stone, you're never going to heal. I don't like those people. You don't need them, but if you have them, work with them. And if you want them, and you can do it, go get them. So stones, quartz, amplifier. So that's the biggest reason we're going to use quartz in this trio of the other stones that we have, is to just kind of give them a nice big boost. So morganite is one of them that we're going to use. And morganite, a lot of people, when they talk about love and compassion and things like that, they go to rose quartz. But morganite is one that is just as effective, maybe even more. So it's just not as well known as the pink quartz. Everybody knows the rose quartz. So morganite is a really powerful stone for working with love. So again, you can see where we would want to work with that, right? The next one is blue calcite. And blue calcite is all about harmony. And that's where we want to get, right? We want to get to the end where we have harmony. And opal is all about balance. So again, we want to get that balance to get that harmony. So those are the stones that you could work with during this time. If you don't have morganite, like I said, you can go ahead and work with some rose quartz. If you don't have blue calcite, there are other stones out there, you know, that are for harmony. There's other stones out there that are for balance, you know, and if nothing else, just work with the quartz. Set your attention and work with it, and that quartz is going to amplify that intention for you. So, all right. If anybody ever has any questions, put them in the comment. I know a lot of people don't necessarily watch my videos live with me, but if you have questions or you don't understand something or you have insight of your own, please feel free to put it in the comment, or just say hi to me. So stones, those are the ones that I picked for this particular full moon. All right, so moving over to herbs and oils. I group these together because you can work with them either way. You can mix them together or not, or you can work with all herbs, you can work with all oils, or you can work with both together. Whatever you have, however you can work with it is perfectly fine. You know, you can make anointing oils, you can make incense, depending on what the herbs are, you could make a tea. Always check what you're consuming before, especially if you're taking medications. So before you make a tea and consume it, always know how that herb is going to affect any medications you are taking. You could put it in your bath water. You could make, bath salts with it. Lots of things you can do with it. So think outside the box. So the first one I picked is jasmine. So jasmine is really great for, it's kind of clumped in for divination, but your intuition falls under that category of divination. So you could work with some jasmine, again, the herb or the oil, either way is perfectly fine. You could work with some gardenia, which is going to bring in some compassion. So compassion for you, compassion for others. When we're going through a conflict, whatever the conflict is, we need to bring in compassion. And again, maybe it's compassion for ourselves. Like maybe don't be so hard on yourself. Like maybe feel the feelings or do the things or don't do the things or whatever, but don't be too hard on yourself. And again, things I've said a million times, but we have feelings for a reason, so we need to feel it, we need to process it, and we need to let it go. But if you stumble, don't beat yourself up. We're human. Shit happens. So the next one is vanilla, and vanilla is really good for relaxing. So again, just kind of like don't we need to do the work. It's important work. um, it is going to bring us into a better spot, but we don't need to be like this about it either, right? So some vanilla is going to help us just kind of relax a little bit. So, and the last one I picked, I usually only do 3, but again, I picked 4, is coconut. And coconut is really going to bring in, it's really associated with lunar wisdom. And there's a whole thing, I'm not going to try to get too sidetracked on that, but lunar wisdom and ancestor wisdom and the wisdom of the water. And there's a rabbit hole. So, this would be perfect if you had some coconut oil, and if you had all the essential oils, you could do a nice little anointing oil for that. But you could also, if you had the coconut oil and you had the herbs, you could put the herbs in the oil. That works as well. Or, like I said, you can ingest these things. Just again, if you're on medication, just be aware of how things might be affected. But, you could make a nice little tea or even something to eat with that stuff. You can use vanilla to cook with. You can use coconut to cook with. So again, think outside the box. Do something different. And again, if you do something, I would love for you to share it with us, either in the comments, or you could go over to the Facebook group page, which is Lady Faulty's Light Healers, and share your story, share your project, share a picture, whatever, and inspire other people to maybe do some stuff on their own as well. So, all right, colors is the next thing that we usually talk about. And I love to use colors. It's a great way for us to have visuals around us that just kind of give us a reminder of what we're working on. At least that's how I kind of use them. When I put the colors out, I use a lot of ribbons or placemats or dried flowers or candles. There's all kinds of different ways you can work with the colors. But when I place them out, and I place them in places where I can see them. So usually I'll take a little placemat with the color that I want to work with, and I might put the stones on there. Now my phone is making noise. I might put the stones on there. If I have some of the herbs, I might put those on there. That colored candle, the colored flowers, and make what, if somebody walked into your house, they would just be like, oh, you have a very lovely centerpiece here. Little do they know it's my altar. But it's my visual reminder of what I'm supposed to be doing, what I'm supposed to be working on, and helps keep me on track. So some of the colors that you could work with are peach. So typically, like orange is a great color for creativity and that whole warmth and bringing in the sun and sun energy and fire energy and all of that. Pisces tends to stick a little bit more towards the softer side of the colors, so that's why I say peach. But it still has that same um, overall effect of like a bright orange or a deep orange, right? So peach, just like Pisces likes to work with the softer side of the colors. So side note here, which is really kind of a weird thing, is my daughter is a Pisces, and from birth, I don't even know when, I called her Peaches, and that nickname still sticks. I still call her Peaches sometimes. um, anyway, back to colors. The other color is sky blue. So again, Pisces is ruled by water. So that blue water, and again, working more on the softer side, the pastel side. So like a pale blue, a sky blue, is going to be, again, bringing in the same as like the blue calcite, that calming, that harmony kind of energy. So and the last one is sea foam green, very precise, right? But again, it's that softer, pale side of the green. But sea foam green is often associated with a bird at the door. It's also often associated with the ocean, right? So, and how many of us are like, we go on vacation, we want to go to the ocean, right? We want to go put our feet in the water. We want to get our feet in the sand. We want to listen to the waves, all of that. And that's all part of what we do to recharge ourselves. Um, and so we can use that seafoam green color to kind of give us that recharge that maybe we might be needing. So those are some colors you can work with. I know it seems kind of weird, especially for us here that are in the autumn equinox, where we're really kind of seeing like our bright, vibrant reds and oranges and yellows, to kind of go work with the pastel colors of it all. But, just, try to incorporate them in little ways. I'm not going to, my house was all decorated for autumn equinox. It still is. I usually leave those up right through till Thanksgiving. Um, I'm not really a Thanksgiving person, but it's a family time for us, so I go with it. So I'm not gonna like take all that stuff down, but I might put out just some stones or a candle here or there and work with that. And we're gonna actually talk in a minute about maybe another way you can use the colors, which I thought was kind of a fun way to do it. So when we get to our do-it-yourself project. All right. So the next thing is the journal prompt. And again, I'm putting it in the comments, not because I don't think you understand English, but just in case you want to go back later and, want to write it down and you don't have to search through the video. So this one seems kind of like an easy one, but it's not an easy one. What would be beneficial for me to release? It's like, well, we ask ourselves that every full moon, right? But really, like, take advantage of the heightened emotions and the heightened intuition and the whole aspect of the learning triangle, and put all of those pieces together and really sit with that and really think about really what would be beneficial for you to release. And so I think most everybody knows what a journal prompt is, but if you don't, a journal prompt is a question. Get a piece of paper and a pen, pencil, whatever, and give yourself 10, 15 minutes, set a timer if you want. Don't if you don't want, doesn't matter. But and just let yourself completely free write. for that time. Don't worry about spelling. Don't worry about your handwriting. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about capitalizations. Just write. Let whatever's in your brain, doesn't have to make sense, doesn't have to be full sentences, can be just words that come to you. Whatever it is that's coming to your brain, write it down at the end of the 10 or 15 minutes, then go back and try to maybe kind of piece it together. And if you want to go back and, fix your punctuation and fix your spelling or whatever, that's fine. But the point of it is to get out of your head and get into your head, right? So we're not going to worry about, like I said, making complete sentences or correct punctuation, anything like that. As it comes to our brain, we're going to write it down. And sometimes some really enlightening shit can come out of that. So you might realize there's something that you need to release that, again, like you didn't even really realize was something that you needed to work on. But, all right, getting close to the end here. Our do-it-yourself projects. One of the things that, I don't know, it's kind of popped up for me a lot lately, either in different comments or pictures or Facebook or whatever, is do you remember when, maybe people still do this, I don't know, is we used to make those silly friendship bracelets. I remember in high school, like it was a whole thing. Like we all had an armful of those bracelets. We took the string and you kind of weaved them and tied knots and whatnot, and you gave them to your friends and your friends would give them to you, or you'd make matching ones. So this is where I'm going with that, is take the time to make a friendship bracelet. Make 2 if you can. You can use the colors of the Pisces that we just talked about, so the peach and the sky blue and the seafoam green. Or if you don't really want to work with those colors, I would suggest working with the colors of Venus, because that's the planet that we're working with right now, which would be white, yellow, and red. So maybe that's something that speaks to you a little bit more than the pastel colors. And as you're making these friendship bracelets, really work with your intention. What is it, that this intention is for? Who is the other bracelet for? Is it for your girlfriend, like a friend of mine, or is it for my husband, or is it for my daughter, or is it for, like, who is it that I'm making this for? And what is the intention behind this bracelet? And as you're tying every knot or twisting every rope, really be as you're weaving the bracelet, really weave your intention into that. Okay. And it would be really fun if you had maybe some little beads that you could work with as well. Again, the colors, whatever colors you choose to work with. If you're kind of working more with the Pisces energy part of it, the pastels and stuff, maybe you could find like a little fish bead or a little fish, words are hard, charm to put on it. Or if you wanted to work maybe more with the Venus kind of aspect of it, maybe you could find like a white round bead that maybe would kind of symbolize the moon, or a moon charm or whatever, and make 2 of them and give them to somebody. One for you, one for them. So, all right, normally that's the last thing I talk about, but I'm going to talk about one more thing. I'm going to talk about a deity. I've been wanting to add this for a while, and I'm not sure, necessarily we'll do it every new moon or every full moon, but I want to kind of start to throw some of that stuff at you too. So the deity that I picked to work with for this full moon, because I usually do kind of pick somebody to work with, is the Celtic goddess Ain, and I'm not sure I'm saying her name correctly, because anything that's Celtic and Gaelic never sounds the way you think it should sound. But Ain is somebody that I actually started to learn about almost 20 years ago. She was like one of the first goddesses that I was really drawn to. And Ain is known as a healing goddess, so you can kind of see where I would be drawn to her. But she's also can be associated as a moon goddess. That is not like her primary. Like her primary thing is being the healing goddess. But so just kind of a way to tie that in for you, though, is her name is thought to mean brightness. And during the full moon, that's when the full moon is at its brightest, right? So you can kind of see where that might be. Ain was also in a lot of different stories associated with the crops. And so this being the harvest full moon, again, that would be a reason for me to want to work with her. A little bit about Ain and the learning about these gods and goddesses could go on forever. Like I said, I've been learning about Ain for years and years, and I still learn new stuff today. So she's considered oftentimes as one of the Fae, which a lot of the Celtic goddesses are considered Fae. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole you can go down if you want to. I'm hoping to do some maybe little short videos on TikTok about some gods and goddesses and some things like that. So if you're not on my TikTok, go over there and follow me there, because I'm going to try to be better about being over there as well. But the other thing is Ain was also associated with, and again, Gaelic Celtic names, Manannán mac Lir, and I'm butchered that, I'm sure. It's Mannannan, mac Lir. And so in a lot of stories, she's his lover, but in some stories, she's either his daughter or his stepdaughter or things like that. But I think in most stories, she's his lover. And he is the god of the sea. So again, and the moon is highly influenced. The moon highly influences the sea and the water, and we're working with Pisces energy. So, got it? Does that make sense? Questions, comments, anything? All right, so that's where I'm going to wrap it up for today. I'm just about at my hour mark, which is where I like to kind of keep the new moon and the full moon videos. So I'm actually pretty proud of myself that I kept it to an hour, because I had 4 pages of stuff, and I was really worried that I was going to really go over time. But so yeah, not too bad. So yeah, I hope something in this video was helpful for you. I hope that you maybe learned something new, and I hope you feel called to maybe share it with somebody who you think might actually benefit from it as well. And please give me the thumbs up, subscribe, ring the bell, all the things I'm supposed to say to you. But yeah, and I hope everybody has a really great full moon. I know it's going to be challenging for us, but just remember, there is the light at the end of the tunnel, right? So yeah, just keep that in mind, that I know we're not supposed to say everything happens for a reason, but everything happens for a reason. I do believe that. So take that as you will also. Lots of love to you guys. And as always, remember to be kind. Your kindness is not only going to improve somebody else's day, it's going to improve your day, and it could potentially change someone's life for the better, and it doesn't cost us anything. So love to you all. Bye.